Hey, calm down. It's just bodies. It's just bodies together. It's fun, right? It's just sex. It's just sex in the way that you want it. Calm down, everyone. Help me. Please. Help me. Get off me. But it's just bodies. It's just sex. Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, Jane Doe 3, and Jane Doe 4. What happens when you are in a position to be manipulative, to treat people horribly, to lie and to cheat the system, and think that you can get away with it? Welcome to Extraordinary Stories Podcast. Hey, how are you? Are you well? Are you good? I am. Okay, so everyone who got in touch about the story of Jeannie from last week, thank you very much. Yes, a very, very, very tough tale. So, thanks for your feedback and your thoughts. Thanks as always, everyone, for your story suggestions. I get so many emails and messages going, what about this story, what about this one? And yeah, and I look at them and I'll get to them at some stage in life. I will. I don't know when, but I will get there. Alright, I'm going to do a couple of quick shout outs and then we are going to get on with the story. Let's start with Elizabeth Adamson on Facebook. Hello, Elizabeth. Now, Elizabeth, you're sort of part of a bit of a mystery that I've got going on, which also involves Michelle Bell, who listens to the podcast, and it's to do with the story of the Eriksson twins. Now, the Eriksson twins were the two Swedish sisters who ran out in front of traffic in England. Now, this is where I'm starting to think I have gone completely mad. I swear to God, I told this story. I am so sure I did an episode on this story because, I know it. I know it really well. I could tell you it. I won't because I've got a different story for this episode. But I could tell you it right now. I know all the details. So how do I know it? And yet it appears I haven't done it as a story. But then some people think I have. Very weird. I'm just going to say, this is episode 120. This has never happened to me. You could tell me, I name a story and I'd be like, yep, I've done it. No, I have never done that one. Yeah, I've done one that's similar. Yep, on this episode, I covered that, blah, blah, blah. This is weird. So it's a bit of a mystery. Currently, no one knows, have I done the story? Have I not done the story? Very strange. Alright, so Robin Sachs on Instagram. Hello, Robin, and your gorgeous, gorgeous dog. Jeff and Nicole Rhodes. Hello. Hello, Jeff and Nicole, who are caught up with the podcast and waiting for the new episodes. So, hello, Jeff and Nicole. I get the most amazing emails from you guys. I really do. I get some absolute belters of emails. And so I got this one from... well, hang on. No, I'm not going to say her real name, because she's asked me not to. She said, can you give me and my sister a shout out? Because we really like the podcast. We find it uplifting. We find it amazing. And we dance along to the theme music at the end whenever we hear it. But could you give us a shout out in the form of our nicknames. So yeah, I can. And it's a big hello then to Tits McGee and Sharanda McKnight. Okay. Those are some excellent nicknames. So yeah, so Tits and Sharanda, hello. Thanks for your email. Lastly, Margaret Cordray Burnett, who I think goes by Maggie. Well, she has a birthday coming up, as does her twin brother Mark. They have their birthday tomorrow, I believe. So Maggie got in touch to say, could you please give us a birthday shout out? My brother Mark, he's a bear. I don't think he's a real bear. And just to say happy birthday. Now Maggie, I know you wanted me to do a birthday song, but I feel everyone gets bored of me singing the birthday song. So here's what I'm going to do. After I've done this episode, I'm going to record a birthday song for you and Mark, and I will send that to you. Okay, shout outs over. Let's get on with the story. Okay, this story will cause frustration. I guarantee you now, you will be frustrated and confused and a bit annoyed. And that's why I've picked it, because it's all of these things. It's a weird mix of many things going on. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. It starts with a cry, a scream. Someone is looking for help. Help me, please, help me, get off me. It's 2016 and it's Newport Beach, California. An elderly woman is woken at midnight in her apartment to the screams of help me, please help me, get off me. And it's coming from an apartment near hers. So she immediately calls police. As soon as she's done this, she leaves the apartment. She goes downstairs and she realises that on the street there are a group of people who've also heard this screaming. And this group of people are all staring up at the window of this apartment. And the screaming is continuing. So, police arrive. And what scene do they find? Well, in the apartment where the screaming is coming from, they find a young woman, 24 years old, and she is stumbling around the apartment in her underwear. She is completely disorientated. She's slurring her speech. She can't hold eye contact. Police wonder if she's even aware that it's police she's talking to. She's trying to communicate that she's in a stranger's apartment, and for the life of her, she cannot remember getting there. So whose apartment is this? Where are we? What's going on? Let's look at who's in this apartment. Well, there's the woman I've just described, and we're going to know her as Jane Doe 4. It's really important to remember that she is Jane Doe 4. This will come up later. See, just before I carry on, see this whole Jane Doe business? I just think that's the most boring name of the... Jane Doe and John Doe. Boring. Who came up with that? I would want something... I think if I was in the police, I'd be like, nah, let's call them like... I don't know. Jasper Diamond or something. I don't know. Something just slightly more interesting than Jane and John Doe. I'm sure it's probably got its roots in some... There'll be a reason that it was called that. But yeah, anyway. That's a total sidestep. So we've got Jane Doe 4. She's the one stumbling around in her underwear, completely disorientated. We've got her female friend. Now, she is also in a similar position. She's also disorientated, unclear where she is or how she got here. We have another female, and this female lives in this apartment. And then we have a male, and the male, he owns this apartment. So these 4 people, And police are looking at this scene and going, so this is his house. There's a woman here who lives here, and there's 2 other women who don't know why they're here, and they don't remember getting here, and they're in a state of distress. So this is Newport Beach. Very fancy, very expensive bit of California. I think that's where, is that not where Dawson's Creek was set? Remember Dawson's Creek? I don't want to wait for our lives to be over. Remember? That's the one that Tom Cruise's wife was in, wasn't it? What's her name again? Katie Smith? No, it's not Katie Smith, is it? Anyway, her. Yeah. Right, so Newport Beach, yeah. So it's this kind of fancy, Nancy sort of place. So the male, let's talk about him. He is a man in his early 30s, and he is a well-known surgeon. Police speak to him in the apartment and they say, what's happening here? What is going on? And he says, I've got no idea why this woman started screaming. I've no clue why she was screaming for help. And police ask, did you bring her and her friend back to your apartment? He says, yeah. That's regular, I do it all the time. They go back to the woman, the distressed woman, and they ask her, does she want to press charges? And she says, she's not sure. She's very unclear what's gone on. Back to the surgeon, they say, so you often have strange women coming back to your apartment? And he says, yeah, that happens all the time. What about the woman who lives there in the house? They say to her, okay, so there's 2 strange females have come back to your house. Is that not odd for you? And she says, no, he's just like that. He does it all the time. He's always bringing women back to the house. So who was this woman that was living in the house? Well, she was the surgeon's girlfriend. And police are looking at this and they're going, alright, so you're his girlfriend and you're totally fine with him just bringing back random women. And she says, yeah, it's what we do. It's just normal. They go back to the distressed woman, and she says that what she remembers is she woke up and she was being filmed by the female who lives in the apartment whilst the male was having sex with her. They go back to the man and they say, did you film this distressed woman earlier on, this Jane Doe 4? He says, yeah, I did. Police say, can we see the video? And the man says, no, you can't. I'm not showing it to you. Police leave the apartment, deciding that no crime has taken place here. What now? What? No crime has taken place? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Now, I'm going to tell you now. That's just the start of the feeling that you will have throughout this story. What decision's been made? What are you talking about? Yeah, I don't have words. How can police have come into that house? There's 2 women stumbling about, clearly disorientated, do not remember getting to that house. He's saying, yes, I filmed myself having sex. He won't show police. Oh, but yet there's no crime. Let's talk about the man who owned the apartment now. This all happened in 2016 when Jane Doe 4 is screaming her head off in his apartment. Let's go back to 2007 when in Orange County arrives Grant William Robinshaw. And Grant William Robinshaw has come to Newport Beach because he's undertaking a residency at the local hospital. Now, when he arrives, he really gets into social situations. He gets into parties, and he starts to become really well known. He starts going to all the major Newport parties. He's a man about town, he's the young surgeon. Now, there's something that, and I wouldn't really normally put such a sort of exclamation mark on this, really, but I think I need to. There's something worth knowing about Robinshaw. He is a very, very, very handsome man. And that kind of is important in the story. He's that sort of like classic handsome. I mean, it's maybe not everybody's thing, maybe not, but you could kind of see him being like the face of, I don't know, like maybe Hugo Boss, something like that. That sort of like quite classic. He's got like a very, very square jaw. Yeah, he's attractive. So like I say, Robinshaw becomes very popular around town as soon as he arrives. So here he is. He's handsome, he's a surgeon, he's living in Newport, he's wealthy, he's living in an apartment that costs $2 million to buy. And in 2013, so a few years after living there, he gets voted in Orange Coast magazine the county's most eligible bachelor. What? I mean, do those things still exist? Remember you used to get all those weird things like Read of the Year and all those. Do they still happen? I don't know, maybe they do. He goes on to a TV show, a reality TV show called Online Dating Rituals of the American Male. Gee, what a snazzy, sexy title that is. So yeah, it's like one of these dating shows. It's like an early kind of Love Island-y type affair. So he's on there and he's looking for love. And of course he's introduced to all these like beautiful, beautiful women and, all of this jazz. And it's all that usual kind of cheesy, looking for love, all that sort of stuff. He says about himself on this TV show when he's just talking to camera, he says, "I'm a perfectionist. And I definitely expect perfection around a woman that I'm dating." Now, one of the women who ends up having a date with him on this reality TV show will say, "He seems a little too perfect. I think there might be some dark skeletons in his closet." Interesting. So he has a sort of short-lived fame, if you will, from this TV show that he's in. And once that's all over, he meets a woman, 31 years old, called Kerissa Riley. Now, she is a dance teacher. She is, I would also say, pretty gorgeous, if I'm honest. She's got sort of dark hair, smoky eyes, really prominent cheekbones. And so they meet, they fall for each other, and very, very quickly they become a couple. And together they start to be really present, really big on the Newport Beach party scene. For the two of them, so for Robinshaw and Riley, it's like bars, it's parties, it's event openings, it's going to music festivals, all the cool nights that you would attend. I mean, it's kind of like my life. I'm blatantly lying. Now, there's something you also need to know about this couple, and I just want to be clear here, right? I'm not saying this like this is a dirty little secret. I'm not making it that, because it's not. They were swingers. They loved to swing. They would have sex with other couples, and they were known for this. They were just, yeah, they were known for it. And I suppose the reason, I mean, you've heard me say it a million times, but have the sex you want to have, do the things that you want to do, and you don't need to be ashamed of it or think that other people think it's weird. It's your body, your rules. So in the Newport scene, there's a lot of love going around, and Robinshaw and Riley, they engage in sex with lots of other people. They will often go out to bars, to restaurants, to clubs in the area, and at the end of the night, they will invite people back to their house, to their $2 million apartment. So that's that couple. That's what we know about them. Let's just go back to Jane Doe 4, the girl that I started this whole story with. Why was she called Jane Doe 4? Well, she was called Jane Doe 4 because police already had a Jane Doe 1, 2, and 3. And Jane Doe 1, 2, 3, and 4 all shared in common one thing. They had all woken up in Robinshaw and Riley's apartment, completely unaware how they'd got there. These were 4 individual, didn't know each other, females who lived in that area, who all had gone to police to report the exact same thing. Waking up in that apartment, either naked or in their underwear, with the surgeon and his girlfriend filming them. Let's look at the story of Jane Doe 3. So she's a young woman living in Newport. She's out one night. She's at a Chinese restaurant. She's with her friends. And at another table sits Robinshaw and Riley. Now, they come over to the girl and they invite her to a party that's happening in a few days' time. They say, look, we're having a party on a boat. Would you like to come? Now, the girl's a bit like, okay. Now, she doesn't know them, so it's a bit weird that they've just walked up to her in a Chinese restaurant and asked her, does she want to come to a party? But she's kind of seduced by them slightly, because they're quite a sexy couple. She's seen them about. They're quite flashy. So she's like, alright, okay, well, yeah, I will. I'll come to that party on the boat in a few days. So Jane Doe 3 is at the party on the boat, and she remembers at one point that Riley offers her a drink. And what she also remembers is that Riley carried around with her a tiny little bottle. Now, she describes it as, do you know, like, the little bottle you get, like, contact lens solution in? You know, just those little tiny white bottles with the screw lids. She seems to remember that Riley has this in her possession. So she's at the party, she has a couple of drinks, and once the party on the boat finishes, they all move back to the surgeon's apartment. But what she also remembers is she started to feel really, really weak. She started to feel odd. Now, she'd only had a couple of drinks, but her body was beginning to go a bit limp, and she couldn't really control her muscles. So she's in Robinshaw and Riley's apartment, and there's plenty of people around, but she's still not feeling quite right. Guests start to slowly leave as the party dwindles down, and as Jane Doe 3 tries to leave, Robinshaw and Riley absolutely insist, that she stays the night. And she protests and says she doesn't want to stay the night, she doesn't feel right, and they say, look, you're too drunk to go home, so look, here's what we'll do. We will just let you stay here tonight. Robinshaw and Riley, they carry her upstairs. They put her on a bed once the last guest has left the party. The following day, Jane Doe 3 calls Newport police to report that she's been drugged and raped by the couple. She's been raped by the most eligible bachelor, Grant William Robinshaw, and his girlfriend, Serida Riley. So she goes to the hospital and a blood test is done and a rape kit is used. And in her system they find GHB, the date rape drug, cocaine and ecstasy. Now, Jane Doe 3, she wasn't a big drug taker. Now, that sort of Newport scene of parties, swinging, there were drugs going around. There's no denying it. That just is what it is. That's the facts of it. But Jane Doe 3 will insist she didn't really take that many drugs, and also these things in her system, she didn't take those the night before. She didn't take them before this experience happened. She can only recollect bits and pieces from the event. She remembers the being taken upstairs. The next thing that she remembers is Riley taking off her bra. She remembers Robinshaw taking off her pants and then being raped. The day after her visit to the hospital, Jane Doe 3 gets a text message from Robinshaw and it says, had so much fun last night. Fancy a trip to Santa Barbara next week? She deleted the message. What the fuck? What the fuck? Had so much fun last night. Oh. So this was the story of Jane Doe 3. We heard the story of Jane Doe 4 at the very beginning. What about 1 and 2? Well, less is known about 1 and 2, except that they have the exact same stories to tell. That they woke up naked or in their underwear in the apartment of this couple. Newport police now have a file, and they're calling it the Robinshaw and Riley rapes. They get a search warrant for the $2 million home, and in it they find guns, cocaine, ecstasy, weed, sex toys. So they have the stories of the 4 Jane Does. They have the evidence of drugs and firearms in the surgeon's home, and they decide that they are going to arrest the couple. So they are arrested and they are charged, and the district attorney, Tony Rakakis, what a name, Rakakis, he makes a statement. He makes a statement discussing what police have found. He talks about videos that have been discovered on the home computer. He says there are several videos where women appear to be highly intoxicated beyond the ability to consent or resist, and are barely responsive to the defendant's sexual advances. Based on this evidence, we believe there may be many unidentified victims out there. Now, it's what happens next in this story that absolutely fascinates me. I mean, in the light, right, of things like Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, when the district attorney makes this statement, there is an absolute onslaught of females coming forward to say, the same thing happened to me, but I was too scared to go to police because he's this wealthy surgeon. But yeah, this experience happened to me too. 50 individual women will call the police when the arrest is announced to say, yeah, I was at a party or I was at a restaurant and the two approached me, they invited me back to their apartment, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, being filmed. And police, of course, they have to treat each one of these as, you know, the individual case that it is. And then more people come forward and more and more and more. And now police have just masses of people going, yep, I went through this exact same thing. So this is big. This hits the news big styly. Oh my god, it's huge. The Sun, the UK's biggest selling newspaper, it has a headline which says, surgeon and girlfriend drug and rape 300 women. Now, whether it was 300 or not, I don't know if the Sun just plucked that figure out of nowhere, but yep, that's the headline they go with. Now, do you remember I said earlier on, right, and it's going to sound really daft, but do you remember I said it's important that he was really handsome and she was attractive? Well, it is, because the way the story gets reported is it's almost like the story is just too good in a way, because here you've got this incredibly handsome, incredibly wealthy man and his gorgeous girlfriend, but yet they're drugging and they're raping all these women. So it makes it this sensational story, and I'm pretty sure you might remember seeing it kicking about all your social medias. I know I certainly did at the time. And the first thing, yeah, you look at it and you go, wow, they're attractive, and then you go, rapists? What? But he's a surgeon. She's a dance teacher. What's going on? Okay? So yeah, so this is kind of, the news are really, really running with this story. And this is where it's going to get a little bit thorny and a little bit difficult. But you know me, I love a difficult story. Oh, I really do make myself laugh sometimes. So, it's set to go to trial, and there are 9 charges against the couple, including rape and kidnapping. Now, Robin Shue and Riley, they will stick to their story, and that is, these were all consensual meetings for sex. And they will say, yeah, we were part of a drug scene, but so were all of these people who are coming forward. But it was always consensual. In total, 7 women will appear in court to talk about their experience. The district attorney who I mentioned earlier on, Rokakis, he is, as this is going on, he's hoping to be re-elected as district attorney. And he takes and he uses this story to really get himself some headlines. So, he holds a huge press conference. So they've been arrested. It's about to go to trial, and he's like, this is my moment. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to hold this huge press conference. He starts by saying, it's often believed that rapists, and I'm going to stop there because he tries to say the word rapist and he accidentally says the word racists, which is just it's a bit awkward. Anyway, so he starts again. It's often believed that rapists are creepy men who live in the shadows. But rapists can come in the form of any socio-economic situation. True, it's a good point. It's important to understand. Rapists can look like anyone, they can be anyone, and they can be either gender. He then talks about the charges against Robin Shue and Riley. So he talks about rape, kidnapping, drugging, illegal firearms. He talks about the fact that Riley is additionally charged with possessing an illegal firearm. He then announces that these 2 men, and then says, excuse me, actually, it's not, it's a man and a woman. My God, somebody needed to rehearse this guy's speech before he went out to speak, because honestly, the amount of mistakes he makes is unbelievable. He takes in order the Jane Doe reports, so Jane Doe 1, 2, 3 and 4. He plays a video of Robin Shue on the dating show. He shows a bit of Riley's YouTube channel. I'm not entirely clear why we're seeing that. I think what he's trying to do is give you a picture of the couple, like presenting almost as if they're this like kind of perfect Newport couple, but there's something darker underneath. I think that's what he's trying to do. It's here that he announces the thousands and thousands of images and videos of women being raped by the couple. He goes on to encourage people to come forward. He lays out everywhere that Robin Shou has ever lived, where he studied, towns he's visited, and he's saying, if you've been in these towns, were you raped by this man? If so, come forward. He names all the music festivals they ever went to, and he's asking, were you there in this same year? You too may have been a victim. Now this is to a full room of police and news reporters, and there's a woman who pipes up with a really interesting question. She says, these videos, right, these thousands of videos you've got, what were they doing with them? Like, were they posting them into certain websites, or like what was going on? And he kind of stumbles and says, I don't think they were. I think they were just for personal use. So, press conference over. Roukakis is not messing about here. He's making a big deal, and he's saying, look, as district attorney, this will not go unpunished on my watch, right? I'm on this. Now, remember what I said earlier on, he's hoping to be re-elected. Now there's another guy who plays a very important part in the story, and his name is Tony Spitzer. What is with all these weird names in the story? We've got Robin Shou, Roukakis and Spitzer. It sounds like I'm in a restaurant. I'll have the Robin Shou noodles, followed by the Roukakis chocolate, and to drink I'll have a Spitzer. I mean, I don't know what restaurant I'm in when I'm ordering any of that, but anyway. Who is Tony Spitzer? Well, he is the man challenging Roukakis for the position of district attorney. Both men are racing against each other to be elected. Weird side story here, weird fact, but I think this is quite interesting. Spitzer was, I'm going to use the word trained, I don't think that's what I mean. He was trained by Roukakis in politics. That's not what I mean. Roukakis was like, no, Spitzer was kind of like Roukakis' protege. He sort of got him into the world of politics, and now here they are, the two of them, racing for the same position side by side. Now what's interesting about Spitzer is he has a very different take on the story. He watches Roukakis do all of these press conferences, and he says, I've got a different opinion here. He challenges this notion of there are thousands of videos of women being raped unconsciously. And he says, where are they? Like, we've never seen them. You keep talking about them. You keep saying they exist. And that's why this couple need to go to prison for, either life or like 40, 50 years. But you keep talking about it. But where are they? And what's happening to sort of feed the story is every time Roukakis comes out and makes a statement about this story, it immediately goes on to like a news channel. It immediately gets printed in newspapers. So he's become this real like voice, and he's adding so much fuel to the fire. But we know why he's doing it. It's because he wants his face out there, because he wants to be re-elected as district attorney. Now the election arrives, and Roukakis is defeated. He's beaten by Spitzer. So very quickly Spitzer becomes the district attorney, and in the case of the people versus Robin Shou and Riley, it's his first priority. He orders a full, top to bottom, investigation of the whole entire case. And I'm talking, the apartment is searched, every inch of it. Their bank accounts are looked at. Over 3,000 people in the Newport area are interviewed about the couple. They go through every dating app that the two of them have ever been on. They go through every single social media thing that they've ever used. And once that exhaustive, absolutely exhaustive search from top to bottom, as Spitzer puts it, has concluded, he comes out in his position as District Attorney and he says, as a result of the complete case review I ordered, we now know there is not a single video or photograph depicting an unconscious or incapacitated woman being sexually assaulted. What the prior District Attorney and his Chief of Staff did to these defendants and to the women involved in this case is a travesty. Spitzer announces that the case of the People versus Robinshaw and Riley is to be dropped. All charges against the couple are to be dropped. Okay. Now you probably, at this point, I'm just guessing, but you probably think the exact same as me. What? Yeah, what? Is that it? It's all over. Alright, okay, everyone, off you go. You can all go home. Home time. So weird. So for Robinshaw and Riley, that's it. There's no more court. There's no more possibility of prison. They're as free as a bird. Huh? How can that be? We've come this far. Who doesn't quite get off the hook so easily is Roukakis. The former DA has to attend a hearing in which he admits to, his words, manufacturing facts in the story to gain headlines and help his campaign. Okay. Now, the things that Roukakis was saying about, oh, there's thousands of images, we've got all these video evidence, that wasn't true. He didn't have that. He never had that. He just said he had it. And then what happened was no one checked that it was there, or it wasn't there, and then news started to report that there were thousands of women that had been through this experience, and the whole thing just got completely twisted. Now, you must be thinking the same thing as me, because all of that aside, right, take your political bullshit aside and put that over there. What about the women? What about the women who came forward? What about those who were actually brave enough to say, yes, I will stand in court and say that this couple did this to me? Well, when they hear that all charges are dropped, they're devastated, because they're like, what? No, this happened to us. We went through this experience, and someone has come along and said, nah, let's just forget it. Forget it, okay? Case closed. Roukakis, I mean, he has obviously not been great in this situation, but he makes a statement and he says, certainly any prosecutor should think long and hard before dismissing this case. Multiple women have independently come forward and subjected themselves to the hard process of baring their souls to authorities. I just hope these women are not being sold down the river for some twisted political motive. My heart goes out to the women who had the courage to come forward with their complaint, because I believed their complaints based on the evidence. What starts to happen at this point is, and this is always dangerous, I think, it's always dangerous, the word alleged starts to appear in a lot of the writing around it. I did a sort of like little tracker thing where I was looking at the news articles when it first came out and the news articles like 2 years later, and it's amazing how the word alleged just starts to creep in there. The alleged victims. And it's suddenly when you put that word in there, it just, yeah, well, we know what it does. It just changes it. It just makes it like, alright, did it really happen? Did it not really happen? And that's a very, very, very clever move to start using that word. So yeah, I said the story would be frustrating, and it is. The individual women, they start to drop their pursuit of Robinshaw and Riley. They start to withdraw their claims, except for Jane Doe 4, the woman that we started with at the very start of this story. Jane Doe 4 does not want her charges dropped. In fact, she's still trying right now to find a way to have Robinshaw and Riley charged for the crimes that they committed against her. But that's proving difficult when someone has said, no, that's it, case over. Robinshaw and Riley, they moved away from the Newport Beach area and they live elsewhere in the USA. He can no longer practice medicine as he was struck off by the medical board as soon as he was charged. The medical board said people need to trust their doctors and no one is ever going to trust him again. Whether the charges have been dropped or not, the damage is done. So as I bring this to a close, I'm asking, what in the hell do you think went wrong here? I mean, there has to be truth in it. There just has to be. It can't be a case that individuals who didn't know each other all share the same experience. What are we saying then, that they all made it up? No, I don't think so. They can't have. It's too weird. Something very strange has happened here. Very, very strange. And I don't like it at all. Don't like it one little bit. Because yeah, I mean, I don't agree with what Rukakis did in this case. I think it's really dangerous to start saying that you've got all this evidence when you don't have it, really. That is damaging. I mean, and in a way, they were never ever going to have a fair trial the minute someone says we have thousands of images. But at the same time, take all of that aside, what you have is you have the statements from victims who've gone through it, and those can't be ignored. And I think that's what really fucks me off in this story, is that they are ignored. Those women who came forward, it's just like, oh well, do you know what? It doesn't matter. Someone's actually just gonna wipe this under the carpet, and that's not okay. That's not okay at all. Are they guilty? Was it just too tempting a story not to tell, and then it got out of hand? Was this all about politics and gaining a position? Can there be smoke without fire? Did something really underhand happen here between police and politicians? If we've learned anything from history, it's that the lead up to any kind of election elicits weird behaviour. And so ends the story. Okay then. Yeah. Yeah. What to say other than, yeah, okay. Yeah, so strange. So strange. Alright, so, well, that's the end of this episode. Slightly bonkers one. Hope you enjoyed it. Alright, you know where to get me. I know a lot of people start to turn off the podcast now because they're like, oh my god, he's going to talk about the social media, and he's going to talk about Facebook, and he's going to talk about Instagram and Twitter. Well, I've just done it, so I don't think I really need to mention them again. Yeah, you can catch me there, you can get me there, join the group, say hello, there is merchandise. You want to get yourself some sexy clothing or a notepad, you can do that as well. There's lots of things. There's shower curtains, for God's sakes. And baby grows. Come on. Who doesn't want these things? Yep. And what else? There's Patreon if you want to support the podcast. And yeah, I think that's it. Other than that, I am just going to get out of here. And I will see you again soon. I've gone back to doing shit endings because I don't know how to end the podcast. Remember I tried that voicemail thing and it really worked very well for me, so just forget that ever happened. Well, except I can't because it's like recorded for all of time. Oh yeah, and if anybody ever does discover that I did do the story of the Eriksson twins, can you please let me know so that I don't consider checking myself into an asylum. Okay, goodbye. Now it's really try the word really again, Barry. It's really important. Why am I laughing? I would also like to just say at this point, the way his name is spelled is the most confusing thing in the world. So, in my notes, he's actually down as robe in shoe. Because there's just no other way that I would be able to say that.
It didn't affect me really one way or the other. I would imagine from the look on his face, let's get it on, let's do it, let's get it over. Let's get it on, let's do it, let's get it over.